Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 186, the final episode. I'm Andrew Eisen, and with me is Zachary Knight.
Hello, everybody.
And James, are you there?
Am I?
Yes, I heard him. Look at that.
Am I actually here?
Oh,
Yeah,
there he is.
We
Is
hear
this-
you.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Real.
Am I dreaming?
This is happening.
Okay.
So are you stuck with the XSplit image, or?
I don't know why it does that. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me try that. There we go.
There we go. All
It's
right.
because it's attached to the video, which I
Ah.
don't have set up right now.
That's all right. So, James Fudge is with us, managing editor of Game Politics. So, for those of you who don't know, Game Politics is closing officially on Monday, and so too is Super Podcast Action Committee, at least the show as we know it now. Zachary and I will continue podcasting each week, be same time every week, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's just not going to be called Super Podcast Action Committee anymore. What will it be called? We don't know yet. For the next couple of weeks, it's probably going to be called like the podcast with no name or something silly like that until we figure out exactly how we want to rebrand it and any restructuring or reformatting we want to do to how we run the show, and any suggestions you folks have for names or what you'd like to see from the show in the future, tweet at either of us or email or go over to randomtower.com, which is where the Game Politics crew will be hanging out and maybe writing and doing some fun stuff. Not necessarily game politics related stuff. I may write about how incredibly bored Jennifer Lawrence always looks on her movie posters, if the inclination hits me. So randomtower.com is where we'll be hanging out henceforth. So probably stay tuned to there for show updates. Also, our Twitters and Facebooks. We'll let you know. If you want to follow where we go from here, there's plenty of places to follow us. We'll keep you informed. So, yeah. It's sad. I haven't cried this hard since since the ending of Return of the Living Dead 3, which is quite possibly the most touching love story ever committed to celluloid.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
You should. You should. It's a wonderful film. It's got Melinda in it, and she makes the dumbest movies watchable. She's one of those actors who you just like watching. It's like Dick Miller or Clint Howard. People who are you'll just they're in it, or John Saxon. It's like, oh well, hell, okay. They always give 100%, and they're great in whatever they're in, even if what they're in is stupid. So, as far as video games go, I don't think I played anything this week. I was working on last week. I told you I was playing a Lollipop Chainsaw for the PS3, which I really quite enjoyed. And I'm 100% completionist, but this game is really, it doesn't want you to complete it 100%. The game has, as you kill zombies, you earn gold coins, which you can spend in the shop to buy upgrades and new moves and stuff. But you can also earn platinum coins, and you do that by killing 3 or more zombies at the same time. And right, so platinum coins, you can buy new outfits, music tracks, so you can set a custom background music, and concept art. And the tracks and concept art are usually about 3 to 5 platinum tokens, and the outfits are the early ones are around 20, but they very quickly go up into 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 platinum tokens apiece. So, how many platinum tokens do you get for defeating 3 zombies at the same time? 1. 1. It's like, oh my god. Even if you destroy, if you destroy 6 zombies at the same time, and I've only done that once, you get 6 platinum tokens, I think, 5 or 6. And it's like, oh my god, I would have to grind for like 30 hours to actually unlock everything in this game, and the game's only like 5 hours long, if that. So I really don't want to play the game. It's fun, but I don't want to play through it 10 or 12 times. Now, you can buy platinum coins with your gold coins if you've bought all of the upgrades and special moves. But you know how many platinum coins you get for 500 gold coins? 1! Oh my god. I think the special stuffs are a bit overpriced in this game, or at least a little bit too stingy. Oh, Proto-Man Dan is reminding me Lost Reavers, which is a free-to-play online multiplayer game, which is 3 words that each one individually kind of turns me off. You put them all 3 together, I'm like, oh, hell no. It's exclusive to Nintendo's platform. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try it. So I tried the beta, and I had the same problem I had with the Splatoon Global Test Fire. Every time I tried to connect, I get this error message. So I did manage to play the tutorial, and it's okay. It's I think the saddest thing about the game is I spent 5 minutes looking for it on the 3DS eShop before I realized it was a Wii U game. Because visually, it's kind of struggling.
Yeah.
So, but someone recommended I get a new router. That might be the problem. And I work in technology. Stranger things have happened, but everything else works for me. Other games I can play online. Monster Hunter. I've played Monster Hunter online. I can get on the eShop, Miiverse. My phone can connect to the network. My laptop can connect to the network. I can internet. Everything works except Lost Reavers and I suppose Splatoon. And it seems kind of weird that everything works with my router except this one specific video game, which is kind of weird for me. Real Next Gen Vixen recommends the new podcast title be called the Co-Optional Podcast. So
that may be taken.
That may be taken?
Yeah.
Okay.
Possibly.
All the good ones are taken. I actually, one of the original, I think this was one of my favorite suggestions when we were naming the show in the first place was from James, and I think it was A Slime Appears.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that because I'm a big Dragon Quest fan. Oh, Proto-Man, that's Total Biscuits podcast? Oh.
Yeah, that's Total Biscuits. And the cynical, Total Biscuit, the cynical Brit.
Isn't that the same person?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's his subtitle, or his whatever.
Wow, he's got 2 pseudonyms. The man's name is
John Bain.
John Bain. Okay, that's interesting. Well, I mean, I guess like me. I mean, I have a lot of pseudonyms. Just ask my sister; she calls me a lot of different things.
Those aren't pseudonyms.
So, James or Zachary, any games been played this week?
All I've played this week is Kingdom Hearts Unchained, and I learned that it's key, not X. And it's like, because I was reading a Kotaku article, their review of it, and it's like that's key, not X, and they have to copy the curly X character that it uses instead of just an actual X, and so yeah, I've been playing this and playing it, and I'm enjoying it. It's actually a fun game, and and I haven't spent any real money on it. I haven't had a need to yet, and I only recently, only like the past couple of days, I haven't been able to complete all 3 objectives for every quest. So you go into a quest. The main goal is to find the target bad guy and beat him up. But then there's 3 objectives that you complete, and usually it's defeat all the enemies in 1 turn, collect a certain amount of experience. Let's see what other objectives are pretty common. Defeat a specific monster. Like sometimes there's a special monster in there that you can defeat, as well as all the rest of the monsters in the level, and a few other things, like equip a specific keyblade is one that pops up every now and then. But yeah, it's only recently, like the past couple of days, that I haven't been able to complete all of them, and usually it's because it's defeat all the monsters in 1 turn, but also defeat this one super powerful monster. And it's like usually that super powerful monster takes me 2 or 3 turns to defeat. So I'm playing through all the quests right now, and then I'll be going back with some stronger keyblades and medals attached to them to hopefully complete all these objectives. But other than that, it's there's not a strong story to the game, at least not that I've experienced yet. It starts out, it's just your character and this cat creature that is your guide, and then you just go through and you're basically beating up Heartless, and you follow around a couple of characters. Like you start the first set of quests takes place in the dwarves, the forest of the dwarves from Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, and you follow Doc around as he's looking for the other 6 dwarves, and then you go to Agrabah and follow Aladdin and some guards around for a while, and then Goofy and Donald show up at one point in the game in their gummy ship. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but in the first game, the first Kingdom Hearts game, you can build a gummy ship to take you that you use to travel between the worlds, and they show up in a gummy ship that crashes. And right now the main quest is just revisiting all these places that I've been, looking for specific monsters so that I can collect gummies. And you're really not collecting gummies, you're just completing quests, and it just pretends like you've collected gummies so that they can repair their ship. And just yesterday, I think, Mickey Mouse showed up, and in the story, he finally showed up, and along with Chip and Dale, the little chipmunks. And so they haven't really gotten into any depth in the world or the story or anything. So it's just a nice little way to pass the time when I'm sitting around doing nothing. But yeah.
All right. I still like Kingdom Hearts. Although I am frequently amused by what the Square Enix decides to title those games. They're even more
some of
obnoxious
them
than
are
Capcom
really
in their
weird
titling schemes.
Yeah, we've got Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and then 3's coming out, and then there is Chain of Memories, and then it became Chain of Memories when they ported it to the PlayStation 2. And
There's
then
one with a fractional number in it.
Yeah, it's like 365/2 days or something like that. And then they've got what's the new one? I have to look these up, because these are Kingdom Hearts games. Because these things are weird. Okay, 358/2 days. Birth by Sleep. That one kind of makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
As a subtitle, it makes more sense than 358/2 days.
Okay.
But let's see, we've got Kingdom Hearts Coded. That one's just weird. Dream Drop Distance. Then we've got Kingdom Hearts Key, which and then Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, which I guess Kingdom Hearts Key was the browser only version, and then they brought it and called it Unchained Key. And then we've got I don't know if this is 11.8 or 2.8 or what, but it's Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It was so annoying to me because I was writing the press conference recap for whoever's conference at E3 had Square Enix on it, and they had 3 Kingdom Hearts games, and they said the title and they had the logo, and I had to try to figure out how to actually type that logo, and I couldn't figure it out. One of them has like a dot in the center, and I was like, I actually looked up the Microsoft character map trying to actually find that symbol. That was I remember that being really annoying trying to do my job and actually type the game's titles correctly because I didn't have access to the press package yet, so I didn't see any actual text write out of the game's names, just the actual title splash screen with the logo on it.
It's probably a Sony press conference.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
But I remember I've done several press conference recaps. James and I kind of would trade them off, and I remember anyone who read my press conference recaps kind of gets the sense that I really hate it when they show games with no gameplay footage. Because a lot of my recaps are like, no gameplay, no gameplay, no gameplay. Yeah, another trailer, which is all just CG crap and no gameplay.
Yeah.
And oh god, I think James usually took the big ones, the Sony Microsoft ones, and I normally took the smaller ones like EA. And oh god, whenever EA goes into the sports section, it's
I'm like, okay, I mute it and then I just go and browse the web like I normally do.
Yeah.
The sports stuff is annoying, especially when they bring out athletes to rave about the sports, and I'm like, I have no idea who this is, and I don't care what they're saying about their sport.
Yeah, they had Pele, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
For FIFA, and
I
he's
couldn't even understand him. I had no idea what he was saying or who it was.
I know who he is. I mean, he's a big star. They made a few movies about him, but it didn't really feel like it was related to the game at all. It's just kind of stupid.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was related to football, soccer, but
Great.
I'm like wondering, does anyone? All due respect, but this audience who's here for this specific thing, do they really care?
No.
No.
Yeah, my guess would be no. The Mayo asks, I heard a lot of big players weren't showing up to E3. They'll be there for the most part. They just won't have booths. So I think Disney is one, Activision is one. They and their games will absolutely be there, but they won't have their own booths on the show floor. And someone, is it EA? I think EA is not having a booth. They're having their own event during E3 across the street from E3.
Well,
so
they take up the meeting. They take meetings there, and they'll be part of the press conferences. Yeah. Really, doesn't make a lot of sense to run a booth at this point.
Yeah, they're just not footing the bill for show floor space.
There's like 800. There's like 800 events now that all these companies can go to where they can get direct access to fans. So why would they go to E3?
Yeah,
that's why they're talking about letting more people in that aren't necessarily part of the industry.
Having been there as a journalist, having actually worked E3, I hate that idea because there's already a bunch of people who have no business being there. I don't need even more of them getting in my damn way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
by the by,
E3's
if you,
E3 is a
E3
drag.
it
It's a drag,
absolutely is.
So
Um,
I don't
Yeah.
like it to me.
if you're having fun at E3, you're probably doing something wrong, like your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I would, it's worth, I thought it was worth the experience. I'm glad I went, but they're like, oh man, you were at E3? I'm like, yeah. It's like, you gonna go again? No. It's a lot more, I like watching E3 from the comfort of my own home. Don't have to
Yeah.
stand in line, don't have to wander around. It's really hot. The food is way overpriced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
convention food usually is because you're a captive audience, so they can charge you $5 for a hot dog with no toppings.
great
Yeah.
place to network, though. I did meet a ton of cool people while I was there. Journalists, developers, all kinds of cool people.
Sure,
So-
but GDC is better for that, and it's a more relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah.
I really like GDC.
Next Gen Vixen asked, "What year did I go?" I went 2006. Yeah, 2006. So the debut of the Wii. That was a circus.
Yeah.
Let me see if I remember some of the things there. There was there was the Wii, which was a 4-hour line that wrapped around the entire perimeter of the major staging area where the big publishers are. There was a preview video thing for Metal Gear Solid 4, which was like 17 minutes long. There was a Tony Hawk. Remember when he did games? There was a Tony Hawk skate ramp there. Paris Hilton was there introducing her game, and she got the name wrong. I don't even remember what the name was anymore. They were the next gen Turok was. They had this closed off booth with a line, and you waited 45 minutes to get in there, and they just showed you like a few concept art slides. What a ripoff! That was where Spore, I think, was first demoed. That was pretty cool. Game didn't turn out that great, but the presentation was pretty cool. So some things I remember about that particular show.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I will ever get to go to E3. I probably don't care to ever go. I would rather go to something like PAX, and I'll probably settle for like PAX South if I can, if I ever get around to being online when they do the tickets. But,
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly more interesting, and you get access to kind of the same games, anyways.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. If anyone who ever does go, make sure you visit. I think it's called Kenta Hall. There's the main staging area where Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are, and then you walk way down somewhere else, and there's this room in the back where everyone else is. And that's actually where you will find a lot of the experimental and cool stuff. There was I think that was where someone was debuting some type of Guitar Hero, but real actual guitar that was supposed to teach you guitar. Rocksmith, is that what it ended up being?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think the early prototypes of that were there. So some interesting things like that. That's also a lot of the places where you would have found, not in 2006, but where you might have found some of the earlier VR demos. So it's interesting to definitely take some time to go down over there. Now,
I'm pretty sure, Russ Pitt's book, he talks about how one year it was either Guitar Hero or Rock Band was in that hall. So sometimes good stuff is down there.
Yeah.
So here's a fun story. Dennis McCauley, the founder and original managing editor of Game Politics, I met him at E3, and I was, of course, writing for the site at that point. That was the first time I met him, and we got to talking, and he says, hey, you want a ticket to a after party thing? And I was like, he says, it's really kind of sketchy sounding, and I'm not comfortable going. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll check that out if it's sketchy, sure. So I looked at this weird, because he worked also for the Philadelphia Inquirer, some other actual
I believe
paper,
that's what it was. Yeah.
and he's like, this probably something that I shouldn't be going to. I'm like, well, now I'm curious. So what it was is you're supposed to call this number, and they'd pick you up in a limo, and they'd take you to an off-site place, and they did. And this off-site place, they'd give you a it was some video game accessory manufacturer. It wasn't Mad Catz or anyone I recognized, but they had different controller grips and little bags that you'd put stuff in. It was an accessories manufacturer.
Yeah.
And so they went through the motions. Literally, it felt like they were there for the party and less for actually pitching stuff. And it showed me all their wares, and they're like, okay, now let's go upstairs for the party. I'm like, okay. And we go upstairs, and there are three major things I remember. One, pretty much everyone was out on the balcony area because most of the people there smoked, so they went outside, because in California you can't smoke in buildings. Inside were two things that caught my attention. One was two half-naked dancing girls wearing Superman underwear and chaps. And two, chocolate-covered strawberries. Needless to say, I stayed inside. And the dancers, because everyone else was outside, the dancers and I got to talking, and one of them said, want to learn how to Vogue? She said in an offhanded way, thinking like, no, he's not going to want to Vogue. And I said, sure. And so they taught me, and I forget it now, but it was this whole hand movie thing. And what they probably didn't know is I am a performing artist. I do, in addition to YouTube videos, I've also done stage plays. I sing, and I do dance if it's choreographed and I really have to. I'm not the kind of person who's just going to get out on the dance floor and cut a rug, but if you teach me a move, I will be able to mimic it. So I learned how to Vogue from two dancers wearing Superman underwear and chaps. And the chocolate-covered strawberries were really good.
Nice. Oh boy.
There's a memorable E3 story.
Yeah. Oh, and
Anyone got a better story?
I don't have a better story.
Mayo says the creamy voice gets an explanation. No, I've sounded like this for quite a long time.
Since he was a baby.
Yeah, well, my dad will tell you that my voice change was fairly sudden. Luckily, it wasn't. I didn't really have a problem with voice cracking. It was pretty dum-de-dum-de-dum, Andrew, immature, young Andrew. Okay, now we're here. Instead of doing this type of thing. My dad, my parents got divorced when I was 5, so I didn't see. I lived with my mom. So I talked to my dad every couple of months or so. And my dad tells us just one day he called me up and, hello? He's like, who the hell is Phyllis dating or something? No, Dad, it's Andrew. So, but my voice was fairly low even when I was a younger teenager. So I'd field calls asking when they used to call your home to see if would you like to be set up with any lovely young ladies. I'm like, no. It's like, well, why not? It's like, because I'm 14. They're like, oh, well, is there anyone else in the house that would be interested in being set up with some lovely young ladies? And I said, Mom, Kelly, either. And they hung up.
Yeah, that voice change happened when you were like 4, though.
I don't remember exactly when it happened, but when I was in 6th grade, I sang with the 7th and 8th grade choirs because I could sing the lower parts. because the 5th and 6th choir was all what was it? I think it was SSA, 2 soprano and alto parts. So all the young male parts are way up here, and I couldn't sing it anymore. So I sang with the 7th and 8th grade choirs, which were singing SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, baritone. And then when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I went up to high school to sing with the high school chorus. So yeah, my voice, it's not as fun as you might think, because it kind of torpedoed my trick-or-treating career really early. Because people aren't in, I go up to the door, trick or treat, and like, get out of here. So, no, honestly, I'm only 14, and like, that's, even so, it's still a little old for trick or treating. Bug off. So I'd never pass up a chance for free candy.
Yeah.
So.
Even if it's in a white windowless van with free candy spray painted on the side.
Hey, it looks legit. So,
Great.
I like Proto Man's comment here. Damn, that's speaking of my dancer story. Proto Man says, "Damn, that's pretty hot." I mean, strawberries with chocolate. I know, right? It's like the best fruit ever. Proto Man Dan says, the worst insult I've gotten over the phone is when I greeted some marketing guy who called and he said, "Good morning, madam." Yeah. That reminds me of the time Jack Thompson was harassing my place of business trying to get me fired. And he spent a good chunk of a day speaking with the HR person at the time, whose name was Robin. And poor Robin, he had to deal with this guy for several hours. And they called me and they're like, "Andrew, who is this guy?" And I said, "I don't know. He's some jerk." And like, what are you doing? I said, "Nothing. I sent him an email on my own time at home, asking him a question for a site I write for." And they're like, "Okay, well, just don't email him while you're at work." And I said, "Okay, promise." And that was really it. And Thompson starts emailing me and yelling at me, and he called Robin Miss Lowe several times. And I told him, I said, "I don't think Robin really appreciates you getting his gender incorrect when you spoke to him on the phone for several hours." So.
Oh, man.
Jack
good
Thompson.
times. Yep.
I hope Thompson is happy and just chilling somewhere and enjoying life.
Well, he lives in Miami, so hopefully he spends his days at the beach.
Actually, yeah.
He's wearing a Speedo at the beach all day long, every day.
Thanks. Great. That's just what everybody wants to imagine.
Well, I guess a Speedo and a Hawaiian shirt. Yeah.
And Crocs.
And Crocs. There we go.
And knee-high socks.
On the golf course.
Black socks.
With suspenders. That's my retirement outfit. So.
Yeah.
Hey.
I've got it all laid out. It's in a garment bag, ready to go.
Yep. Oh boy.
Nice.
So,
I didn't have too many interactions with him, to be honest with you. I
think you lucked out.
I had one or two emails where he called me a fudge packer. Which, but whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole voicemail he sent after Sandy Hook, how we wrote about that, but
yeah.
Other than that, at that point he was pretty much done.
Oh yeah, he was done. I think he tried to hang on to some relevance after he got disbarred, but that quickly fell apart. And
pretty much the last notable thing. I mean, occasionally you will find him interviewed on some AM very local radio station that you've never heard of, but the last major thing he did was, and this was about a year after he was disbarred, was threaten to sue Facebook for, I think, some obnoxious sum like $120 million or something like that. I think it was like 3 counts of $40 million apiece or something.
Yeah.
And what he was complaining about is there were Facebook groups that were saying mean things about him. So he immediately started emailing Mark Zuckerberg or someone,
Right. Yeah. Sounds about right.
demanding that they do something. And I wrote him and I asked, did you try actually hitting the report link that's on the bottom of every single group? He wasn't wrong. There were actually groups that were. There was one called "I will pay you $50 to punch Jack Thompson in the face."
Right.
That's certainly something that doesn't need to be on Facebook. But I asked him, did you try actually hitting the report group link or actually emailing help or support or whatever at facebook.com? You know, go through do what you're supposed to do, or did you just go straight to sue them? And he called me a moron.
Of course.
So I hit the report group button, and it was gone the next day. And I wrote a story about that, and that was really the last thing, the last notable thing. It was really the last time I heard from Thompson, and the last notable thing I ever heard he did. So,
I remember the one time I forget which. I forget exactly which shooting it was. I think it might have been Virginia Tech, but he was on an interview with NPR, and during the interview he started making claims that he was advising the local police department. And the host started asking questions like, oh. So asking things like, what are you doing with them? How are you helping? And he stopped answering questions. He was like, well, I can't answer that. It's confidential. I can't answer that. And eventually the host just got tired of it and said, all right, we're done here. See you later. Or talk to you later. and then they continued on the story with the other guy they had on in the interview for like another 3 or 4 minutes. And I just thought that was hilarious that NPR kicked him off the interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he started. You started to see that. Like he went on John Stossel's show, and John Stossel. He's kind of a hardcore libertarian, and he just picked Thompson apart in that interview, and it seemed like the trajectory after a while was just downward for him.
Even slightly before he was disbarred. I think probably right around when the disbarment proceedings started. Which is interesting because Adam802 in the chat says Leland Yee was the, quote, real threat, but both had no chance. And in a way that's true, but what's interesting is I think had Thompson been able to act like a decent civil human being, he would have actually seen a lot more success. It might have been one of his laws that made it up to the Supreme Court instead of Leland Yee's. The interesting thing about Thompson is the man can actually turn on the charm when he wants. Usually if he's in public, if he's actually doing a talk or speaking with a group, the man has a sense of humor. He can joke, he can be very charming, and I think if he used that, and thank goodness he didn't, but I think if he used that, he would have still have his job and would have actually seen some success, but he's like a 12-year-old on a social media platform that grants anonymity. He just can't help himself.
He can't,
Well, putting that aside, I mean, that's not what got him in trouble. It's all the craziness with the courts, sending him like gay porn.
Yeah.
I mean, so he was his own worst enemy. Really.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a bad guy. I don't really have an opinion on him personally.
Yeah.
He did what he did what he thought was right. He thought that
Mhm.
video games were evil, and so he did everything he could. But he was a little, he had a strange way of doing things.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah,
to put it mildly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I sometimes wonder is Jack Thompson was most prominent about, at least from a game politics perspective, from about 2005 to 2007 or 8. And YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, these were just starting to come into their own. And today we have really horrific harassment, and we see things like swatting. And I have to wonder if Jack Thompson were still doing what he did back in 05, 06 today, if he would be on the receiving end of scores of horrid harassment and things like that. Because really, I heard he got death threats.
Yeah. He said that he got death threats.
And he did get prank called a lot.
Yeah.
But about the worst thing I ever heard was a bunch of people sent him flowers and cupcakes.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. The cupcakes was EA. It was just flowers and balloons, I think, was the other one.
Yeah. Now, Delirical1 asks if Jack Thompson ever made a lawsuit against M-rated games, or filed a lawsuit. And no, as far as I know, he never actually filed any specific lawsuits, but he did go to court to try to declare Bully a public nuisance before the game even came out. Because if you could get something declared a public nuisance, it made illegal to sell within Miami-Dade County, and he tried to do that, and he wanted to get a copy of the game down, an early copy of the game, so that the judge could see it and everything, and it's like, to me it looked like he was just trying to get an early release copy of Bully so he could play it. Because we all know he's a fan of Grand Theft Auto, because there is that classic picture of him holding that Grand Theft Auto 3 game up. He's just like excited to have Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, most of his lawsuits were representing families of people who were victims of school shootings.
Yeah.
And he would and they would sue various manufacturers like Take-Two and other game companies, but and he did author legislation that made it very similar to Yee's law that made it illegal to sell violent video games to minors. Of course, I think one of them was actually tried to use the ESRB rating system as the standard cutoff for what you can and cannot sell, and I know Yee's was just tried to define what type of violence was not okay, and then California couldn't name anything other than Postal 2 that would actually fall under the law, the scope of the law.
The problem with, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say what was hilarious was Jack Thompson made the claim several times that he had told Yee specifically that his law was unconstitutional and going to fail, and that Yee should have used Thompson's law,
which was unconstitutional and failed for that exact reason. So
yeah, it was.
I think
fun.
his was in Louisiana, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I believe his influence was in Louisiana. I don't think he had anything to do with Oklahoma's law. I'd have to go back and look at who wrote that one. But
if I had to guess, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd say it was Coburn. Because
no, I don't think it was Coburn. He was a senator at the time.
Yeah.
A U.S. senator, so he wouldn't have had anything to do with a state law.
Oh, it was a state law. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But Yeah, Thompson's gone, Yee's gone. I forget what the name of the gentleman who was constant. Every year he'd try and pass the syntax law that would tell you to that would compel the game industry to put some type of Surgeon General warning on video games. This
I think
studies
that
have shown
was
that.
Wolf,
Yeah, Wolf,
Congressman
someone.
Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking
Um,
Dick Wolf, but that's the guy who produces Law and Order.
yeah.
Um, But he stopped doing that. I haven't heard Keith Vaz mention Manhunt in a couple of years. Uh, so as far as the violent video game bandwagon, I think that that ship has sailed.
Yeah,
So,
because the last time I saw anything in Oklahoma was 2000. Was it 2008? I forget. Like somebody, local legislator here had introduced a sin tax bill, to add an extra 1 cent tax to violent video games. And then once he got told, hey, that's going to be ruled unconstitutional, he tried to change it to we need to a law that would have made way for researching violent video games. And so, but that never went anywhere.
yeah, Proto Man Dan name dropped Steve Pope, who, if I remember correctly, is the person who said that PlayStation. I think he said like X Station or Game Station, or he got the name of the console wrong. But he said something like playing games is like doing a line of cocaine in the high that you receive, which actually made my list of 20 dumbest things ever said about video games. Adam mentions Joseph Lieberman and Hillary Clinton, two people, especially Lieberman, who was very
Yeah.
involved with the original mid '90s controversy over Night Trap, which was stupid. If you've ever actually seen Night Trap, and I think if anyone had actually bothered to watch footage from the game, they would have went, "Oh, really? That? Oh, well, okay. Clunk clunk. Meeting is adjourned." um, but yeah, both of them haven't really said anything about games in
Joe
years.
Baca and Frank Wolf. They're the
Baca and oh, I should have remembered Baca.
yeah, Joe Baca and Frank Wolf, and that was back in
That's right.
2012 when they had introduced that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in 2013, in March of 2013, Frank Wolf held a violent video game hearing, or video game violence hearing, that was all one-sided. It had a National Science Foundation Super Suresh and Brad Bushman there to talk about violent video games.
Yeah. Yeah. And at Brad Bushman, if you're reading Game Politics, I wrote a story Friday. There's a new study from Bushman who's now looking at violent and sexist games. And it's like all of his studies, it suffers from the exact same problems that pretty much all of his studies suffer from methodology to conclusions. There are still actual discussions to be had, but it's the same stuff. One of my favorite stories was, I am trying to remember the woman's name. I think her name is Cooper Lawrence. Does that sound familiar?
Mass Effect lady.
Yes, she was on. She was brought on Fox News to talk about Mass Effect, the first one, when people were freaking out about the incredibly PG-13 sex scene with the blue alien, where you might kind of see some obscured side boob. And they were calling it, I think the segment on Fox News was called Sex Box and something like that. And they brought Cooper Lawrence on, and she started talking about it, and everyone who'd actually played the game was like, what is she talking about? And it came out later, and she actually, to her credit, she apologized about this. And to be even more fair, apparently Fox News completely blindsided her with this whole thing. They said there's a game, it's got sex in it, and it's called Mass Effect. Go talk about it. And she's like, okay. But she did later apologize, say, yeah, I'd never seen the game, didn't really know anything about it. They said there was a game, there was sex in it, and so I talked about it. It's like,
to be fair, that happens a lot on cable news. They cold call.
Oh, yeah.
They cold call these guests and have them on like very quickly, and they have no idea what they're talking about. So
yeah, and then she was review bombed on Amazon, which was
so was Thompson when he wrote his book Out of Harm's Way.
But yeah, I keep meaning to buy a copy of that just so I could say I haven't. But the only reason I would ever want to own a copy is so that I could get it signed by Jack Thompson.
He's got to be on a convention circuit somewhere, right?
You would hope.
Sitting at a table in the corner signing copies of his books. Hey, didn't you used to be Jack Thompson? Something like that. I've mentioned this before. I hope to go to a convention someday and be on a panel just to watch people in the audience wonder who the hell I am. Like, notable person in clappity clap, and other notable person who does important things in clappity clap, and Andrew Eisen, and people are like, who? He's on YouTube.
well, we're gonna make sure that happens.
Yeah,
it's on my bucket list.
Well, I'll take care of that for you.
All right. One of my favorite stories for speaking of violent video games is there were a couple instances of this, but one in particular. There was a time where the popular idea was violent video games are bad, okay. So we're going to get the community to bring all of their violent games and throw them away. And we have this giant trash dumpster here, and we're going to take a stand against these violent games. And this was in the wake of one of those damn school shootings, either Sandy Hook. I think it was Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
And so everyone bring your games and throw them in the dumpster. And one of our readers, I think, actually lived in that city and went down there and took a picture. And I think there were literally 3 games in the bottom of this giant trash bin that you need that scoop shovel thing on the front of a trash truck to actually pick up and dump. Those really big dumpster diving type bins.
Yeah.
This big empty bin with like one DS game kind of sitting in the bottom and one disc with no label sitting on the side. It was so sad. I felt really bad. I was like, oh, man.
Like if I lived in the area, I would have gone to you go to a Goodwill or something where they have this 4-foot shelf of nothing but 10, 15-year-old sports games. It's like go and buy all those and just throw them in there.
Yeah, and let's see. Protoman asked, didn't some company try to get people to trade in their games for ice cream? Something like that. There was one where they were. It was a voucher for ice cream or books or something. They were. I always thought that it might be an interesting idea to. Well, I guess that kind of. If your idea is violent games are bad, okay. But I thought, maybe you could do something with the violent games something constructive with them other than throwing away, like donate them to Operation whatever drop that sends games out to overseas military units.
Mm-hmm.
Operation Supply Drop.
Supply Drop, thank you. I knew it wasn't Dumbo Drop.
No, that's just a bad movie with Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Matthew's here. Hello, Matthew. So any other GP memories we want to share?
Oh, let's see here. I'm sure there's plenty of things. I'm trying to think of some specifics.
I got to review a Games for Health game called Reminisce, which, as you might be able to tell from the what I think is a clever title, is about a cancer. And I think Hope Labs is the developer behind it, and they gave me a copy.
I actually have a copy of that, because I got that one. Because they were giving that away for free, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I sent them an email and said, hey, send me a copy. And
I remember my review was pretty positive. I liked the game and you know what? I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check the review to see if I disclosed that I got a free copy from the publisher.
Well, considering they were giving it away for free, I don't.
Yeah, I know, but this was before ethics were so in vogue.
Well, let's see here. Let me see if I can find it here. Was it
Try and
on?
find it. I think
it
that
on
was
Game
live journal
Politics?
day. Yeah, that was live journal days. But one thing I really like, most educational, like if you look at some of the old Bible games, how they tried to do educational game is you would have gameplay, and then it would static stop, and it would show like wall of text and say, here's educational material that you have to read and memorize, and then you'd go back to the game.
Yeah.
This game, Remission, actually made learning the material part of the game. So instead of stopping the game and saying bacterial infections are treated with antibiotics, and you just trying to remember that, there were bacterial monsters in the game, and the weapon that you had to use to defeat them, you couldn't use the chemo laser on them, you had to use the antibiotic grenade. So doing that over and over and figuring out which weapons were effective against which enemies, I thought was a real clever way to teach these facts within the actual game without slamming into a wall and just, okay, here the game is over, now read the text, and okay, you can go back to the game now. I admired that a lot about that particular game. Oh, Brotoman and Delirical talking about PETA's games. The people for the ethical treatment of animals have had a lot of fun Flash games that have parodied Cooking Mama and Mario. And the Mario one was really weird. It was like Mario kills animals. I think they were having a problem with Mario's tanukis. Tanukis are actually real animals that are skinned for their fur by poachers in somewhere where tanukis live. And they were like, Mario, because he wears the tanuki suit in the Mario games, is advocating the murder of small woodland creature, and it's like Mario's not literally wearing animal skin. You have to wonder if the PETA people go to baseball games. And it's like, oh my God, they hollowed out a bear, and they're pointing at the mascots. It's a costume. Even in game, it's a costume that comes from a magic leaf. So,
I found your review of Remission here. I'll post it in the chat. But yeah, it doesn't look like you disclose your free copy of the game.
Well, I've learned a lot in the last 10 years. Hell, when I first started writing, I had no idea what the SPJ was. Society for Professional Journalists. That's what it's called.
Yeah, hell, good job, Andrew.
I know the acronym. I know the letters at least.
You brought shame to us with your non-disclosure of a game.
Yeah, well, that was what got. That was the little snowball that went down the hill and ended up ending the site. So that ethical lapse back in, I don't know, 2006. That's what led to the closure of Game Politics. 10 years later.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
But I think PETA was actually kind of a lot of like Jack Thompson in a way. Both of them, if they could get out from behind their own absurdity, they could actually say some interesting things. They might not be correct, but I mean, yeah, I think we can all get behind. Let's not skin animals alive. There's no need to do that. That's horrifying.
Well,
but when you communicate that in such a stupid way, you kind of trip over your own feet.
Well, let's not pretend that they don't know what they're doing, though. It's all about getting a lot of attention.
Well, we did cover it. So.
Yeah, no, and everybody else covered it. I mean, it's good. Yeah. It's good marketing, really.
Well, it's like weird things that they've done where they complained about Assassin's Creed Black Flag's whaling mini game in there.
Yes.
It's like, really, you're complaining about a period specific actual thing that sailors did.
We're still going after whales for their oil, for our lamps and stuff.
They're just trying to be I guess. Trying to
And
stay relevant.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I think it was PETA, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but I think it was also PETA who got their underwear in a knot over the rat backstab in one of the Call of Duty games.
Yeah,
There's a sequence in Call of Duty where you're crawling through a tunnel and a rat goes by and your character goes thump and moves it to the side, and that was worthy of a press release.
And then PETA lampooned Super Meat Boy and created their Super Tofu Boy or whatever it was, and then the Super Meat Edmund McMillan and Tommy Raffines they added a Tofu Boy into their game who was incredibly weak and unplayable.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Good times.
Definitely. Oh, and they got pit bulls removed from Mafia Wars.
Oh yeah.
That was back a long time ago when Mafia Wars was still something. Surprisingly enough, I just learned that Mafia Wars is finally closing down. I played this game like years ago, and I was surprised to see that it was just this year being shut down. Oh man,
what game and publisher was it that sent out literal brass knuckles with their game to journalists? You remember
the
that?
brass knuckles. Let me look that up. That was
that EA?
Stupid.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was with the Godfather.
Yeah, it was
Godfather 2. That might be right.
Yeah, EA sent brass knuckles out to the press, and the press, everybody was just like, these are illegal in my state. What am I supposed to do with these?
I would have liked a pair, though. I mean, come on.
That would have been awesome. I would have taken them, but...
I would have used them.
No, I send it back. Oh, I misplaced it somewhere.
When you buy them, you say that they're a paperweight.
Yeah.
Delirical says Mafia by 2K. Was that right?
Oh, okay. It was Mafia. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. He's right.
No, I'm looking at the stories, and it's EA sent them with the Godfather game as part of the press kit. I don't know if Mafia 2K did anything weird with Mafia, but this was back when EA was doing some incredibly stupid stuff, like their Dante's Inferno campaign. It's like, do something lewd with a booth babe, and here's a check for $200. What are you gonna do with it? Yeah, it's like,
if
you spend it, you're greedy. If you ignore the check, you're what was the other? I forget, you're wasteful or something, but I forget what the specific sin was.
They had one for each of the 7 sins, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly stupid stuff, man. And then they had the fake protesters out at E3, and oh man, E3 is just insane.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything as stupid since then. But.
Well, I think the most recent really poorly thought out marketing stunt was who was it? Activision did that Twitter thing where they changed their Twitter to
was that Activision or was it?
I forget who it was, but someone changed their Twitter to a news site to some new news site and acted like there was a
some kind of
war in Korea or somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Was it the Rainbow?
Singapore. It was in Singapore. Yeah, there was they claimed their story was there was a terrorist attack in Singapore, and the government initiated martial law and
that was Activision in one of the Call of Duty games, so probably Black Ops 3 or something.
Yeah.
Delirical says Call of Duty Black Ops 3, so yeah. So that's the most recent one I can think of.
Man, we're all getting very old. We don't remember half of these stories.
Well, a lot of stories over the years.
There
was also one where someone released a bunch of. There's someone who released a ton of balloons that all ended up in a body of water, and then the company had to pay to fish out all the balloons.
I think it was THQ. I think it was THQ.
Yeah. Oh, there's a company that failed spectacularly.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because THQ actually brought out a lot of stuff I quite like.
Yeah,
which is always the case, because I mean, even companies like, for example, Ubisoft, we could go on for half an hour about all the things we don't like about Ubisoft, but they still make some really good games. Not all of them, but man, if they do Beyond Good and Evil 2, oh man, unless it sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, EA's Dead Space, your mom will hate it campaign. I actually made a parody video of that. I think making fun of Fox News. The idea being your mom will hate Fox News. I took all the horrified mother reactions and edited Fox News footage into it. I forget what they're talking about, but it's in there. They're probably talking about GTA or something. But it was this weird video where they were showing Dead Space or Dead Space 2 to a bunch of older women, and the tagline was, Dead Space 2, your mom is going to hate it. I'm like, how old are you? It's an M-rated game. It's ostensibly for people 17 and up, but who are you marketing at? How many 18 or 25-year-olds do you know? It's like, mom hates this? Oh, I'm all for it. And also, the actors they used for the commercial were like what I would normally think of as grandmother age than mother age, which I thought was a really odd casting choice. So,
well, apparently, if you're 40 years old, your mom would hate it.
Yeah,
I guess that was the campaign. Yeah. So weird.
That was one of my favorite things. Ed, someone at MSNBC, this was a couple years ago when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. He was on his show and he says, if you let your child play this game, even if they're 18 years old, you are a lousy parent. So I called my mom, and I recorded this on video, and you can find it on YouTube. It's called Ed, what's his face?
Ed Schultz.
Ed Schultz insults my mother, I think is what it's called. And so I called up my mom and I said, hey, Mom, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out today. And she goes, yeah, I know. I'm like, all right, cool. My mom's awesome. And I said, can I play it? And she goes, sure. And I said, oh, well, I just thought you should know that Ed Schultz thinks you're a lousy parent. And she says, I don't give a shit. Oh, Mom's awesome. So.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the typical thing. Some guy who doesn't know something about anything is talking about a new game because he saw a video clip. That's how it works. Yeah. That's how it works on cable news.
Yep.
So, well, it's a little past 7. I suppose we should wrap this up. And right. we actually have more viewers tonight, quite a few more viewers tonight than we normally do, probably because this is the last Super Podcast Action Committee. As I said at the beginning of the show, Zachary and I will still be doing a podcast every week, but this will be the last Super PAC. For the next couple of weeks, it's probably just going to be an untitled podcast until we figure out exactly how we're going to rebrand and reformat it. But you'll still be able to find it on my YouTube channel and on randomtower.com. The Eisen cast. Okay, well, Zachary, you are now Zachary Eisen. Everyone who guests on the show has to Easy-E. That's a good rapper name, man. Easy-E. That might actually be a rapper name.
Might be.
So,
yeah, maybe.
So, any last thoughts before we wrap it up, James, Zachary?
Sure. This you may have noticed I wrote a couple articles about Gamergate, and mainly that article was to say, hey, I'm just reporting on news, and I don't really have an opinion on people, and I don't really care at the end of the day about these people. You know what I mean? So you should probably read that while you can. And I wrote a thing about the Bill Clinton Awards, which is one of the things I'm pretty proud of. And hopefully other game journalists will get involved in this next round. And hopefully Andrew, who will have some free time, maybe we'll drag him into it this time. And Zachary, if he's not too busy running for office. So.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Zachary, talk about that.
Well.
Okay. I'm running for U.S. Congress. I rep the district that I'm running in. It represents Oklahoma City, Edmond, and then some couple other towns. I believe it's Shawnee and Seminole. I'd have to double check those. Sorry if I got the towns wrong. But yeah, it's this. The guy who currently there is Steve Russell. We actually wrote about him a couple of times, or I did, because he wrote a few years back. Senator Tom Coburn started writing his waste book reports, where he talked about areas that the government wastes money, and then when Coburn retired, Representative Steve Russell started writing his own, and and then he wrote 4 of these in a year, and then when it came time to vote on the federal government's spending bill, and don't think that this is actually a budget bill. It's not. It's just spend is all it is, and he voted for that. So he had no scruples when it came time to putting his principles where his vote is. But yeah, so I'm running against him. Let's see. He's got a primary challenger, and then there's 2 Democrats running. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I am running as the Libertarian. This is the first time that Libertarians can run for office with the actual Libertarian label. We could do it before as independents or as members of the Democratic or Republican parties. But this is the first time since the year 2000 that we are actually able to have the Libertarian label next to our name on the ballot. So I'm running for office. This was I would have run for a state election, but I had just moved, and so I didn't meet the residency requirement for state office, and so I decided to run for Congress because that was the only race I could go for, and that's what I wanted to do. I felt it was needed. We needed somebody to run. So I'm one of 17 Libertarian candidates. I'm going to be one of 16 in the November election because 2 Libertarians are running for U.S. Senate this year. So they're going to go to a primary, and then one of them is going to move to the November election. So fundraising is fun. I was down to the wires. Like the second to last day of filing is when I finally got the last little bits of my filing fee situated. So I was able to file yesterday on the last day. I showed up an hour before filing closed with my fee and everything. So it was cutting it close, but I made it. But yeah, so if you live in Oklahoma and specifically in Congressional District 5, check out my campaign. But
so let me ask you a question. This is like the first time the Libertarian Party's been statewide on the ballot.
Statewide?
As a party, like Democrats and Republicans.
Since 2000, we were an official party in 2000, but we didn't meet the outrageous 10% vote test, where we had to get 10% of the vote for president in order to stay a party. that's actually changing. There's a law that's just waiting for the Senate to approve the House amendments, and then it'll go to the governor, and that'll change it to 2.5%, which is still a tough vote test, but it might be meetable. We might be able to meet it in this current political climate. But yeah, it's been 16 years since we've had a libertarian on the ballot, and yeah, 3 elections in a row we had no. Or was it 3? Let's see, 2004, 8, and 12. Yeah, 3 elections in a row we didn't. Oklahoma was the only state in the nation with only 2 choices for president.
Yeah. So it's a major milestone, is what I'm saying.
Yes, very, very big milestone. This is actually, with 17 libertarians filed, this is the most libertarians that have been on the ballot since the Libertarian Party formed in Oklahoma. So,
well, I hope you win. It can happen.
I hope
it could happen.
Yes.
I can't vote for you. Sorry, man.
But you can send me money.
That's true. I could send you money.
That's a good question. If somebody wants to give you donate to your campaign, where can they do that?
You can go to my website is election2016.easynight.net, and there's a PayPal link there. But if you email me, I'll send you my address if you want to just mail a check. But I don't have my address up, but it's public. I guess I could probably stick my address up there since it's public information now with my filing paperwork.
Yeah. All right, that's really, really cool.
Yep.
I'm not running for office, but you can send me money if you want to. I'll take it.
I'm not sending you any money.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Andrew.
You know,
but if anybody out there wants to buy my campaign a 3DS, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, my subscribers helped buy my 3DS. They didn't quite buy the whole thing. I had to pay for about a third of it. But game politics has been a part of my life for over 10 years, and I am going to miss it terribly. It opened up. It pushed me in. It pushed my life in directions that it might otherwise never have gone. When I was in school, I hated writing. Hated it. So when Dennis McCauley said, "Hey, you want to write for game politics?" I'm like, no. Why would I want to write? I hate writing. For some reason, I said yes. And I found out that I actually do enjoy writing as long as I'm writing about stuff I give a flying falafel about, like video games. And that broadened out into other freelance work. I've written for The Escapist, and most notably, I freelance for IGN, still to this day. I started a YouTube channel and started doing silly videos, which I still do. And I've been to E3, and occasionally I actually get swag, which is weird. Sometimes I'll just get free stuff, and I don't know why, but I'm like, okay.
Nice.
A lot of it is stuff you don't want, like I remember a lot of EA things. most of the EA games I own are stuff I got for free and never wanted in the first place. I have a couple sports games. I have Boogie, which was that dance karaoke game. They never gave me Dead Space or anything cool. They always give me the dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Real Next Gen Vixen says the Flying Falafel Podcast. Oh, okay. Well, that's something I just said, isn't it? Okay. So yeah, game politics. It was great, and I am going to miss it greatly.
We should probably clarify that. I've seen it written a couple of places, and I tried to correct people, but they seem to be oblivious to correction. So
hello, internet.
But I mean, people should know that we've been running the site for I want to say since summer of last year, and so the ECA didn't shut the site down. We decided to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just for the record, it's time to move
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah, the ECA gave us the reins, complete control over it, and yeah, we decided, that it was time to move on. So.
And
it's
so that's
you
what
know,
we're going to do. What
Yeah.
comes next? Have no idea, but stay tuned to our Twitters and everywhere else you can find us on social media, including randomtower.com. And we'll have another video podcast next Saturday at Pacific Standard 6 Pacific Standard. Again, it's probably going to be untitled for a little while until we figure out what we're going to call this sucker. But until then, let's give our handles and stuff. So Andrew Eisen here, Eisen is the last name. You can find my silly YouTube videos if you type Andrew Eisen into the search bar. I'm currently working on a video which should be up tomorrow about will Link be a girl in the new Legend of Zelda, which is somewhat timely because there's a huge rumor going around. And it's kind of annoying because this big rumor that's going around is exactly what I think is going to happen. And I wrote this video like months ago. I just never got around to actually filming it. So it's not that impressive anymore because it's like, oh, gee, so your opinion is like the big rumor? Yeah. Oh, well.
I'm unaware of the big rumor. Is
The
that
big rumor is
Linkle is the
no.
main character?
The big rumor is that Link's gender will be selectable, so you'll be able to play as either a male Link or a female Link. That's the big
Nice.
rumor going around right now, which is something I've thought would probably happen for a long, long time. I just never got around to actually making the video, so it's
So if you
really
play as female Link, is there going to be a the love story or whatever the between female Link and Zelda? Because there's usually I don't know if it's never been well, I guess it has been in some of the games.
Link and Zelda are rarely ever that hot and heavy an item. I think their relationship in Skyward Sword is about as close, as romantically close as it's ever been, and that was about as chaste gets.
Yeah.
So I seriously doubt that's going to even be an issue. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, at Andrew Eisen is the Twitter, and Andrew Eisen YouTube is me on Facebook. So Zachary.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at EZKnight, and you can follow my game development work. It's divineknightgaming.com and DK_gaming. Hopefully, I'll still have time to make games while I'm running for office. We'll see how that goes. I don't plan on running that heavy of a campaign. Maybe like 1 or 2 events a month, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you want to follow my campaign, check out election2016.easyknight.net. That has links to where you can donate, my platform, which I'm updating, clarifying all that good stuff. And then you can follow the Oklahoma game development scene at okgamedev.com and okgamedevs on Twitter. And then anything else that I decide to write will be over at randomtower.com.
All right, James?
Well, you can follow me at jfudge on Twitter. I'm also doing some editing over at Unwinnable for Unwinnable Monthly. You can check that out at unwinnable.com. I'm doing the copy editing over there when I have time. And I'll probably be writing on Random Tower, though probably not the kind of stuff that I was writing at Game Politics. I want to write more about games and less about
lawsuits
and people and culture wars and all that stuff. I'm tired of it. I'm just so tired. So tired of it.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be game politics type content there. More like like the last couple articles I wrote was stuff about the public domain and the Linkle and Cloud, and Nintendo's choices of those characters, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I write about things that interest me, that I have a big opinion about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to obsess over games. Like when like Dark Souls 3, I'm probably gonna buy that soon, and so I'll probably be writing about that a lot.
I may write about the relative merits of goldfish versus betas.
Yeah,
nice.
you never know.
You never know. It might be a very random tower. So, so that's it. Thank you, everyone, for being with us on the show, on the site, and all these years. It means a lot to us. And I hope you will follow us on our next adventure. So stick to randomtower.com and our various social medias, and we'll let you know what we're doing in the future. So, Andrew, Zachary, James,
Be strong.
Be strong.
Strong world.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry. So,
yeah.
All right, that's it for Super Podcast Action Committee. I have no idea what it's going to be called next, but hey, maybe we'll know by next week. Probably not. We'll probably need a few weeks to figure it out. So, Thank you, everyone. It's been fun, and it's going to continue to be fun. Take care, all. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.